There's a lot of people who don't know who Jim Norton is because they don't know the Epix channel. So
they never used to have CISO.
Right. They didn't listen. They didn't watch the 4 episodes of Jay Leno's 10 p.m. show. So Jim Norton is a guy.
They didn't watch that highly rated Vice show that he did.
Right. They didn't watch the Louis C.K. show that failed. They only watched the one that did well. So,
dude, now that I think about it, nobody's had more. Like Jim Norton's had more chances than anybody I could think of. He had the HBO show, that Down and Dirty. He had the Vice show. He had he's been given chance after chance, and he's never really blown up.
This is Jim Norton. Now I want to preface something here. Jim Norton is a guy who I have heard when he was on O&A. Jim Norton is a guy that has said some of the most brutal jokes you'll ever hear. And I'm talking about too soon, the day things happened, okay? He has said jokes the day things have happened and have been funny. Look, to his credit, have been very funny, brutal, terrible jokes. Well, there's a new improved Jim Norton. There's L.A. Jim. Want to see L.A. Jim on Rogan?
When people like, and again, we mentioned Ari, I know you love Ari. I love Ari. I've known him for many years. When someone says dumb shit, and people do say dumb shit, and then there are times when people are justifiably mad at you. Like, hey, look, you said something really stupid publicly, so people heard that in the middle of their grief, and they're like, hey, fuck you, pal. Like, people are angry.
Yeah.
But then it gets to a point where that day has passed, and then there are people who just want to hurt you for it. There's people who just want to punish you. There's people who just want to see you suffer. So like how do you tell all the time who's just reacting to something you said? Because as a comedian, I say public things. People who are in the public with me have the right to say something.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think what Ari did, you have to come up with a new word, because I don't think dumb is good enough. We need a better word. It was so...
Oh, I have a word. This is crazy. I have a word for it.
Okay.
I have a word for it because dumb isn't. It's called a joke. We have that word.
Joe invent new word. Dumb not good enough. Joe must make new word.
We have a joke. It's called a joke. It's a joke you didn't like. That's fair. But we've already had a word for this.
I think dumb is good enough. We need a better word. It was so stupid.
They are treating Ari's joke worse than the joke that Gilbert Gottfried made 3 days after 9/11, where thousands of people died. This outrage mob cares more about a basketball player than. But by the way, Gilbert Gottfried's joke was hilarious, but that's what they care about.
But it's also what you said earlier, that you got to keep ramping it up.
Yeah.
You do think what we were talking about earlier. Was that before the podcast?
Kind of like you with steroids and HGH, right? Where you don't look good enough, and you got to do it till you get a fucking you get a fucking mutant growing out of your belly, Joe. I mean, like that. How are you talking about ramping it up? Guy who started doing shrooms and now he has to do ayahuasca to see fucking gremlins.
I think it was
before Adnan. I think
What the thing is, when you do outrageous things just to get people to like, oh, look at Jimmy's crazy. Look at you get caught in a trap, and you keep doing it more and more outrageous. And with Ari, he's always done this thing where when people die, he would make...
Okay, Joe, then here's the thing. Then I have something for you. Ari lives in L.A. Why are you talking about this with Jim? Why don't you have Ari in the studio and talk to him about it? Now, he will have him on
right now.
When like the Alex Jones thing.
Dude, man, it's like right now, I don't want to deal with all the...
When everything dies down, he will have Ari on again. That's right. But Rogan, if you really cared about what he said, then why wouldn't you have him on? Have him on now. He's not doing any gigs, so trust me, he got plenty of time.
Yeah, you got kicked out of. You get to cancel that in New York Comedy Club.
To give credit, you know who had him on? Legion of Skanks had him on.
Of course, they don't give a fuck.
The meanest comment, even about someone he loved, like Tom Petty. He said some horrible shit about Tom Petty and Aretha Franklin and all these different people that died.
And of course, Joe thinks that because you love somebody, you can't say something horrible when they die.
But he just did it for shock value.
Yeah.
And you got to keep upping that every time. Like every time someone dies, people like his sicko fans would go straight to Ari and want Ari to comment on it.
Joe,
So you call this entire fan base is sicko fans?
You had a lot of overlap of fans, dude.
They still have a lot of overlap of fans.
Well, after this,
maybe
it's
not,
less,
but his sicko fans?
Joe has completely sold his soul, right? I think we can.
It's
agree
gone.
there.
Yeah, it's gone. It's not even there. When I saw this, I thought we were gonna go more into Jim, but the Rogan stuff's even like you're his friend, Joe. His sicko fans. Again, they can't help it. Even Joe, who wants to be every dude, who wants to be Joe every dude, can't help it. He can't help thinking that he is better than you, that your sicko fans are pieces of shit, and they force you to do. Shut up, Joe. Shut the fuck up. You know how many videos I saw, 240p videos with Bryant Band quality videos I saw of you talking about how we didn't go to the moon and the JFK assassination and all your fucking wacky alien things and speaking to fucking ayahuasca gremlins? Shut up, Joe. Shut up.
Right.
And it's a trap, man. That's a terrible trap. And you
get ready. He's gonna start now.
Here
He's gonna compare Ari Shaffir to white supremacists.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Lean into those things, right? Like it becomes a part of their persona. It becomes a part of their identity.
Well, the trap is also when if there's something you don't want to say, or if you're like, nah, that's too fucked up to say, but if I don't say it, they're going to think that I'm selling out or I'm not the same.
Can somebody please make a compilation of Jim Norton's too soon jokes that he's made that were a million times worse than this?
I would, but I don't have a hard drive big enough.
You're right.
Perform like you have to be willing to disappoint people that want to hear that too if you're going to survive in that kind of in doing that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with Ari, like how he's going to get through this, but
I don't know, usually with the help of his friends, Joe. Like that's how somebody gets through this. With the help, but he's already he's abandoned him. That statement that you heard was he just put him out in a life raft. He just abandoned him. I don't know how Ari's going to get through this. I don't know, by having another huge person in the LA comedy community stand up for him, by people defending his right to say a joke and not call his fans sickos.
In some ways, I never want to say it is a good thing that he did that, but he needed to know that there are consequences for just saying ridiculous shit,
speech, bro.
That you're not supposed to say when people die.
That you're not you're not supposed to say.
He just did the old free speech, but speech has consequences. He just did that argument.
Yeah, he should be getting death threats, and he should be having bomb threats being called into places he's going to perform. You're right. Those are the things you're not supposed to say. Who the fuck are you or any of these people to tell you shit you're not supposed to say? After the Air France, remember when Air France went down? The next day, Jim Norton did 20 minutes on it making fun of them. I remember that. I remember that. So fuck you.
And the really fucked up thing about Ari is he's a really good guy, but in his persona sometimes he's a heel, and he does it on purpose.
Yeah.
And so like you see that video, and he's he's like smiling and laughing because Kobe Bryant's dead. That's his heel persona.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's playing up like, oh, this is going to be great. People are going to be so mad. But he had no idea. He misjudged
the country's grief.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, I think he didn't know who else was on the helicopter.
He didn't know the
What's the matter, Royce?
Hearing Jim Norton say that, because I fucking know Norton's humor was always, I hope you get AIDS and you die of AIDS, AIDS, cunt AIDS, AIDS, dead baby AIDS, blowing tranny AIDS. I hope you die of AIDS and cunts and AIDS.
Remember when he took advantage?
You misjudge people. Jim Norton was a guy when people would call in and we would hear it and go, hey, Jim, I don't really like that you joked about that. That's really fucked up. Fuck you, you homo. I hope you die. Die of AIDS, you homo, stupid.
Remember?
Shut up, Jim. How dare you?
Remember when they did that show?
Yeah.
They had the Jaeger machine in the studio, and Jim supposedly fucked that chick who was drinking underage in there and was blacked out and didn't even remember it and all that shit. Remember that?
I remember that.
Remember when they had to delete the entire episode because it got really out of control that day? Ralphie May was there. Remember all that, guys? Jim's changed, though. Just like Joaquin Phoenix, he's changed So now you all have.
Remember when if somebody's like, remember him and Anthony did 20 minutes on Heather Mills' miscarriage? I remember that.
I believed his explanation. When I read his explanation, I believed it. Like, when I first saw it, I didn't know if he was serious or not. I mean, I know what he does, but I just saw that clip. I'm like, maybe he hated him.
He didn't.
I didn't know what he was doing, but then when I read his explanation, I believed him.
One part of me feels responsible.
What's the matter? Let him speak. Let him speak, Royce.
Joe Rogan feels responsible for what Ari did? I can't wait to hear this one. Buckle up, folks. Here we go.
And I believed him.
One part of me feels responsible. This is why. I convinced him that he could have an iPhone and that he could be okay. Just put a timer on it. I go, just put a timer on it. I go, my daughter has a timer on her phone. She can only use it for...
So it's your fault because you convinced him to get an iPhone. How did Joe Rogan make this about him so quickly?
What did I just say in the last video? They're LA guys, Royce. Everything is about that. Everything has to come back around to them. What if I was in that helicopter? That's what I was thinking. Like, what if it was me? Me, Royce. What about me? What about me?
Hold on, Mike, because don't forget, we're making fun of Rogan again and his fucking milquetoast hypocritical takes. We're going to get that rapper that's going to comment on our videos again and tell us how, man, all you got to do with my phone to Rogan. Shut up, by the way. I know you're watching this. Shut the fuck up. Your music sucks. All right? Why don't you make another fucking pandering hip-hop beat, fucko? I'm sick of that guy. This guy has like 300,000 subscribers. This fucking black guy who loves Rogan, and every time we make fun of Shab or whatever, he never talks about the issues, of course. You know, when we talked about the Ari thing last time, he left he always does it in bold too, because his comments are more important. Hey, your music sucks. All right? Your music sucks. And defending Rogan, sure, maybe you'll be on his show one day, but is it worth selling your soul? Shut up. I don't know what the guy's name is. I forget. What's his name?
Oh, some black guy.
Some black guy. Maybe I think his name's some black guy.
An hour a day. Just put a timer on your phone. And he should have stuck with a fucking flip phone, man.
Yeah.
He had a lady that was posting for him, a friend of his. Like, I think he gave her some money, and he would send his tweets to her, stuff like that, and then she would post him for him. I think that's how it went. And that's way better, because then you got a filter system. Where she could call him up. What the fuck is wrong with you? And he'd be like, "What? What did I say?"
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not saying that, asshole. He's like, "All right, you're right. What should I say?" And there was like a humanity level. Look, also Ari is legitimately insane. Dude, he's definitely got layers of insanity that he battles with.
He does, and it's funny when I hosted Down and Dirty with Jim Norton, and there was a bunch of comedians on.
You could have just said Down and Dirty. You don't have to put Down and Dirty with Jim Norton. Was that what was that on? What was that? Stars? I must have missed it. Huh? Was that on CISO?
It was one of the comedians I had on, and at the end
Crackle
of his set, he took his dick out. He fucking pulled his pants down, took his dick out on HBO, and they were furious, and no one knew he was going to do it.
Hey, Mike, which Jim Norton dick story do you want to tell? Because I know you have one, and I know I have Jim Norton dick stories.
Well, I was going to tell the oatmeal one.
What's the oatmeal one, Mike?
Well, one time Louis C.K. was in the studio, and they were all hanging out, and Jim decided to just pull his dick out and piss in Louis C.K.'s oatmeal.
Which
right
was
there
funny.
in the studio.
Which was funny.
By the way, was hilarious.
It was very funny.
But let's stop clutching our pearls now.
Can I tell you mine? Remember the story Jim Norton says when he would talk to girls at bars, he would take his balls out and see if they would notice while he's talking to them? Remember that?
You just reminded me of another dick story.
What's another dick story, Mike?
Remember when he said when he was a kid he used to swim around in public pools?
Oh, yeah.
And he would like purposely like rub his dick on people but make it seem like it was an accident?
Yes, I would remember that.
Too, yes.
Jim Norton's the only guy that molested his uncle. But let's talk about taking dicks out, Jim. Guy who would take his balls out all the time. On your fucking high horse now. The difference is some people are just still doing that stupid humor, and you're sitting there and now you've changed, man. You have a personal trainer, dude.
And I had to go out and shake his hand with his fucking pants around his ankles, and he waved at the crowd. And I don't even remember if that made the final cut. But that's 2008. So you know somebody who has a reputation of just doing completely crazy shit.
Yeah.
You.
They pretend like
You have that. Didn't he get arrested for Opie and Anthony?
Yes, for the voyeur bus.
You You have that reputation,
They
Jim.
pretend like their own backstory doesn't exist.
Right, like he's retconning his past.
Yes, exactly. Like it's a reboot.
Yeah,
It's a
this
reboot.
isn't a fucking Marvel movie, Jim. There's a lot of people that maybe people like a Brian Regan, to use his name again, could probably sit on his high horse with this kind of stuff. And you know what? He probably wouldn't. If you were to ask Brian Regan about the Kobe thing, he'd probably say, I don't want to talk about that, and he'd move on. You don't get to sit on your high horse, Jim. You have fucking tens of thousands of hours of you doing things that are trillion times worse than what Ari did, using your own standards.
It doesn't surprise me when the person does something that is crazy.
No, he's always gotten a certain amount of attention for doing. He's the wild man. He's he doesn't have any responsibilities. He lives like a vagabond.
Who does that sound like? Joe Rogan. Jim Norton doesn't have any responsibilities. He doesn't. He lives alone. Remember when Jim Norton fucking was talking about that he wanted to change his age on Tinder because not enough girls wanted to date a single 50-year-old comedian? Remember that? I remember that. Remember Jim driving around trying to pick up trannies? Like, again, Jim was Ari Shaffir. That's why this is so disingenuous. Jim was Ari Shaffir. So unless Jim is now going to be Mr. Hey, man, it's current year. You can't do that anymore, man. Shut up, Jim.
He's made a ton of money, but he lives in a tiny apartment.
Yeah.
Like, that was always the reputation. Now I guess he lives with his girl. But he never bought a car. He had the shittiest...
Norton doesn't have a car.
It's true.
If everything he's saying...
It's okay, I have one.
Everything he's saying is about Norton.
Oldest, most fucked up car. It was a manual transmission car because that was cheaper. Like, Ari's like so frugal. Like he would get mad at people like, why are you spending your money? What the fuck is wrong with you? Like why are you buying a nice car? Like, that to Ari was like the dumbest shit you could ever do. He wanted to like hoard all his money and then not have any responsibility.
Is there any kind of group of people that
hoard all their money?
Have been known to.
Yes, Mike.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He wanted to make sure that he could just disappear and go to China for 3 months and just hang out.
Not owe anybody anything.
But what's wrong with that? Like, what if he wants to be that guy? What if he wants to make edgy jokes? Should he be fucking blacklisted from every comedy community? Should he never be allowed to perform somewhere? Should he have death threats called into him because he made a joke that you don't like?
And be free. Be like legitimately free. So like anytime he felt like he was trapped in any sort of corporate structure or anything, he would fucking panic. And that's one of the, it's one of the parts of his personality that where he kind of leans. Because
look, the thing with Ari, and I think this is, again, I don't know if this is true. This is just my interpretation. Joe is the corporate guy. Joe Rogan is a corporation, right? Joe Rogan is the corporate guy.
He's basically a breathing corporation now.
Joe is a corporation. And I think in a lot of ways, when Joe goes to bed at night and he puts his head on his fucking California king-size bed and he lays down there with 2 salt tanks because he needs 2 places to meditate in his house with his fucking more sports cars than Jay Leno. He made $30 million last year just doing podcasts, which good for him. By the way, no one's begrudging him for that. I think that deep down inside, he misses that he doesn't have Ari's freedom. That he doesn't have that, I don't give a fuck, I'm going to do what I want, and what are you going to do to me? He can't. Joe Rogan is now tied down, and the money must be fucking amazing, right?
30 million last year.
30 million, dude. But he is tied down. He is tied down to this image. You're locked into an image now, Joe. You are Joe Rogan. You are the kingmaker. And you can't ever not be that anymore. And I think in a lot of ways he might, even a little part of him might miss not having that freedom anymore. He's tempered Joe Rogan. He's Bernie Sanders on his show, Joe Rogan. He's being retweeted by presidential candidates.
I think it would be great if we just took everybody's guns and censored everybody's.
Yeah,
Barry
man, that
Weiss
would be
on.
Awesome.
Like, at what point, like, when do we have a responsibility to stop these people from expressing themselves?
Into this like sort of outsider role. He doesn't want too much success. Like he would get mad when people started taking pictures with him after the Sober October shows. He's like, "You fucking assholes made me too famous." He goes, "I can't even go anywhere." I'm like, that is the most hilarious thing to say.
Is it hilarious that maybe, just maybe, Joe, that Ari has slightly different perspective than you do about where he wants to be in life, that Ari actually does appreciate, hey, you know what? I'm actually making pretty good money at this, but I don't need to be the guy that everybody's always after.
Right.
I think Ari makes more, his mentality makes a lot more sense than Joe's.
Actually mad that he was going places and people wanted to take pictures with him.
I don't want to be at the top. Like, I don't want to be Joe Rogan. I want to make more money at this eventually than I would have made at any of my other jobs, and do so under the radar, build a nice community, and stay the fuck out of everybody's way. That's what I'd like to do. I don't want to be the guy that has fucking handlers and has, you know, people like literally like when you have a guy on like Bernie and go, you know what, I like Bernie, I support Bernie. Have the entire world start sifting through your financials and digging in and going, is Joe Rogan problematic? Like, I don't want any of that. You want that, Joe. People like Ari just want to tell their fucking jokes and make a little cash.
But is it really that he didn't like it, or is it like sometimes you get afraid of it because then you taste it and you're afraid it's going to go away? That's one thing with...
That's you. You're projecting. This is classic.
That is Norton.
This is classic Jim Norton projecting. Norton's afraid that it's going to go away. Norton's got the taste of it, and he wants to make sure that it doesn't go away. Norton is an insecure person. Earlier in this podcast, Rogan asked him why he wears his headphones like that, because he says he's claustrophobic. No, Jim is the person that's afraid of it. You're afraid of it. You're afraid of it. Not everybody is you. Not everyone's a scared little boy, Jim. Not everybody is. Some people are happy being what they are.
Success, the more of it you get, the more scared you are that they're going to rob you.
I don't think so
of it.
with Ari. With Ari, I think he actually didn't like it. Like, he likes a certain amount of anonymity. It's one of the reasons why he liked going to Asia. That's why he went there on vacation, because no one knew who he was. He got recognized like twice in 4 months the entire time he was there.
He loved it.
Yeah, he loved it. He should go there right now.
Yeah, when Jim Norton goes to Thailand, everybody recognizes him.
Yeah, it'd probably be a good time to lay low.
Might want to move there. I just don't know how.
Might want to move there? So Ari,
He's kicking around no ideas.
You want Ari to move to China and not have a career anyway? These fucking people, they are so quick to stab a friend in the back. And Norton, whatever we could call, but Norton was Ari and Rogan were supposed to be close friends.
Norton's always been a worm, yeah.
Yeah.
How often, I mean, or how long it'll take before this, if it does at all, blows over. He made that little sort of explanation on his Instagram, but it might almost be better if he did a video.
Yeah, you almost have to humanize yourself.
Listen, I know these are little things, guys, but listen to him. This is marketing. This is the marketing mentality that Rogan has turned into. I don't know, like, I think for optics, like, Rogan sounds like somebody who's sitting in a boardroom telling you, I don't know, man, like, I think for optics,
running a focus group for a politician. Yeah.
It would actually be better if you shut up.
Yep.
It might almost be better if he did a video.
How about he does whatever the fuck he wants?
Mm-hmm. That sounds better. I like that one. Can we do that one?
Yeah, you almost have to humanize yourself and discuss what happened, because it's very hard to explain that to
These
people.
guys are all by the way, Jim Norton, ladies and gentlemen, the man who hasn't been home to see his family at Christmas for a long time.
Yeah, but they live far away.
They live in New Jersey, Royce.
Yeah, Mike, but you know how expensive it is to get to New Jersey?
We made that trip 11 times
Okay,
when we were up
well,
there.
fine, whatever.
In Ubers. In Uber XLs, actually.
Come on. He's strapped for cash.
We took a Maserati home one night.
That was fun.
So let's stop pretending. Jim Norton goes to Christmas. It's like, you got to humanize yourself. How about not spend every Christmas with not even your current girlfriend, your ex-girlfriend, like a spinster. Like, Jim Norton is such a sociopath. He doesn't even have a pet.
No, he doesn't.
That's weird, right?
It is very weird.
Like, if you were a bachelor and a lonely guy, you at least get like a cat or a puppy.
Dog, yeah.
Something. Nope.
Some friends that are defending him. Well, like,
No one's defending him.
No one's defending.
Whoa, hold on.
Whoa. Many people are defending him.
What?
Many
Let me
free
back that
speech
up.
proponents are defending him.
Yeah, you almost have to humanize yourself and discuss what happened, because it's very hard to explain that to people, because then they're like, yeah, just dumb friends that are defended him. Well, like,
no one's defending him.
No one's defending what he said.
No one's defending him.
I'm defending what he said. And Ari probably could give a flying fuck who the fuck we are.
Mm-hmm. But I'm defending him right now. Kobe Bryant is dead, and it's fucking hilarious. There you go. There you go. Kobe Bryant's dead. Ha ha. Sucks, don't it?
I wish it was the entire 2004 Lakers that was in that helicopter. How about that? Fuck you. Fuck you. Seriously, fuck you.
How would they all get on that helicopter?
I don't know, like an Apache.
It would be probably why it crashed. Like,
Yeah,
you stuffed an entire basketball team.
Fuck you, Jim. Fuck you. You used to defend people for saying things. You don't. You fucking, you pieces. No one's defending him. No, nobody in your little LA circle jerk is defending him. There's plenty of people defending him.
I can't stand whenever anybody says nobody this or everybody that.
Yeah.
I hate when somebody speaks for everybody.
You know, I would never defend what he said, but what I would say is, I'm not a moron.
Well,
let's be fair here.
I'm friends with him. I love the guy. It's not because he's a bad guy.
Here comes the butt train.
Great guy. He's one of my smartest friends. He's very interesting. But he's also, we're all crazy. I don't know a single goddamn funny person that's not crazy.
Yeah.
But his crazy is a different kind of self-destructive crazy. It's a different kind of crazy. You know, you have your crazy. I got my crazy. Yeah. Robert Kelly's got his crazy. Everyone's got their own crazy. You know, there's something that compels you to want to be on stage in front of all those fucking people, talking every night, telling jokes, doing it on a podcast, doing it on the radio. It's a real...
Look, Rogan, I know that you do stand-up and Ari does, but you want to know the difference between Ari's stand-up and yours? Ari's is funny. I'm honestly going to do the Joker meme here. I'm sick of people saying Joe Rogan is funny, and I'm tired of defending it.
Yeah.
He's not funny. Joe Rogan is not funny. I'm sorry, but he's not a
Joe Rogan's would be the funniest guy at the construction site.
Yeah. I've watched Rogan stand up. Maybe it's for other people. I don't think Rogan's a funny dude. I never, and this is before, by the way, this isn't like sour grapes. This is when Rogan was his claim to fame was watching Pat from Moonachie throw up in somebody's mouth. Eggnog in somebody's mouth. So this is before Rogan blew up. This is all. I've never found Rogan stand-up funny. I understand comedy is a matter of opinion. I'm sure maybe a lot of people do. All right? But I'd rather sit through Ari telling a story. Have you seen Ari telling a story the time he took shrooms with his friend? That was legitimately a funny story versus Rogan. Rogan's not a funny guy. Rogan is a very successful guy. Agreed. Rogan knows how to play the game. Absolutely. Rogan is very good at marketing himself. You better fucking believe it. Rogan is very, very good at making money. But would you even put Rogan in the top 100 comics alive?
No.
Seriously. I'm not even trying to be a dick.
Top 100 alive?
Yeah.
Maybe, but it wouldn't be in the top 50.
Yeah. Rogan is the most successful comic.
I was going to say, because once you start making a list of 100 comedians, you might end up going, God damn, we're going to have to throw Joe on here. I'm up to number 78, and I can't think of any more.
Just my opinion, man. Never really cared about Rogan's comedy. I never thought he was that funny. I think that sometimes there was a sweet spot there when his show was getting big, when he was defending free speech and he was actually helping people out and all that stuff. And you know what he got as a thank you for it? He still got called the fucking Nazi as a thank you for it. But you could have as many Barry Weisses as you want on the show, Rogan. You could have as many Bernie Sanders as you want. It doesn't matter, Joe.
Or even Barry White.
Or Barry White.
My darling, I can't get enough of Israel, baby.
Hey, F in the chat for Bleeding Gums Murphy. All right? F in the chat. All right, we got to read these donations and we got to get the fuck out of here.
Blood of Palestinian children.
Okay, that's not what. Biden sounds like he's being kicked out of a bar. Eric Fitzpatrick. Glaucoma, $3. I can take you guys to a few places in LA, and I like to tell these guys they are feminine. Don't mix Hollywood with LA. We said LA comics.
I don't even want to go out there ever. Like, I don't want to set foot on the ground out there. I don't know what the fuck happens to these guys. They all go out there and they all change.